Welcome to the NBA Pub Sports Radio, Friday, November 11th. Ian Cameron, Skee Prophet, Billy Briz, ready to break it down for a Friday. Actually, it's a small card for a Friday, believe it or not. 8 games seems a little bit light compared to what we've seen in the past, but still a good card to tackle. Let's get right to it. We'll start with Phoenix taking on Orlando. Phoenix Suns, 7.5 point road favorites here, 217 the total, which has gone up from an opener of 214. Suns continuing this road trip through the East, 8-3 overall in the season, 1-1 to start the road trip, losing to Philly, but bouncing back strong with a decisive, commanding wire-to-wire, pretty much double-digit win against Minnesota, 129-117. Some injury concerns for the Suns here. Chris Paul, game-time decision with the heel injury. Jamison Crowder, Cam Johnson, Landry Shamet out. The big one obviously being CP3. The Orlando backcourt is still very much shorthanded, very much depleted, but no problem apparently with that shorthanded backcourt against Dallas on Wednesday. 8.5-point home dogs. They beat the Mavericks 94-87. Pretty good defensive effort, completely bottling up the Mavs in that game. Yet his team is still without key pieces like Gary Harris, Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony. Looks like Paolo Banchero, questionable with an ankle injury. He missed that game against Dallas, and it's one of those old situations that I know Skee's talked about it before. It seems like the less key players that are available, the better the chances are that they win. I mean, sometimes that's what can sometimes happen, and the other team takes it for granted. I think Dallas probably fell into that trap a little bit. Orlando took advantage. The Magic are playing a little bit more competitive basketball. 7-point loss to Houston, overtime loss to Sacramento. They haven't been blown out in a long period of time, so I'm not rushing to lay 7.5 here with Phoenix. That being said, keep an eye on the CP3 status. I'm not going to be on Orlando either because I do think there's a class difference between these teams, but I think I would lean if I had to toward Phoenix, but I'm probably going to lay off this game entirely. I do respect that the Magic have been keeping things to single digits recently as of late, despite all the injuries and the depletion they've suffered with the guard position. What do you think here, Skee, Phoenix, Orlando?
Yeah, this one is, my least favorite game of the day. Just I don't really want anything to do with it. The total, though, I do agree with it going up. Both teams are bottom 10 defending the 3. Orlando's been playing with some pace lately. They are top 10 last 5 games. And offense, I just feel like the offense has been better than the defense. It's definitely for Orlando, but maybe you could say the opposite for Phoenix. But not going to be playing this game. I just think it'll be up tempo, and don't trust the defense.
Yeah, there's a big difference between Phoenix is actually a top 5 defensive team, but there's a drop off. The 3-point defense and the perimeter defense is a lot weaker for Phoenix, and that's what we've noticed here in early season play. Billy Briz, what are you liking here?
Slight lean towards the Devin Booker over 5.5 assists if CP3 is still going to continue to be out. He had 10 assists in his last game. He's been on a roll in the assist department. 5.5 doesn't seem too bad, but nothing on my betting card here in this game. It would probably be a Suns early for me or nothing.
All right, we got Denver taking on Boston now. Celtics 4.5-point home favorites. Total down from 233.5, which is where it opened. Now sitting at 230.5, pretty much across the board here. The Nuggets have won 4 straight. Did not cover either of the last 2 on this road trip of theirs against San Antonio and Indiana. They won, but by not enough of a margin to get the money. But nevertheless, they found ways to win here, and now they're taking on a Celtics team that has also won 4 games in a row. So we've got dueling 4-game win streaks for these 2 teams entering this game tonight. Boston, it looks like, will be without Malcolm Brogdon here for this game tonight. Gallinari and Robert Williams, of course, haven't been available all season, but Malcolm Brogdon will miss this game. Hamstring injury. He's averaged 13.7 points per game for the Celtics. So definitely going to be missed out there on the court tonight. It looks like Peyton Pritchard was the guy that got that added boost in court time in the absence of Brogdon in that when he left that game against Detroit on Wednesday night. So we'll see if that is a sign of things to come in terms of how the rotations are tweaked by Joe Mazzulla here in the absence of Malcolm Brogdon. But I like Denver here at an underdog price. I mean, I like the way the Nuggets are going right now, and certainly catching points is intriguing to me with Denver. I know they've not covered as favorites, but again, you get them as underdogs. The Celtics, to me, when they face quality competition, especially on their home floor, it hasn't been pretty at times for Boston. You look at some of the results. They play at Memphis. They only win by 3 as 4-point favorites. They don't cover at home against Chicago last Friday. They had the outright loss in overtime against Cleveland, as home favorites earlier this season. So I like Denver here catching points. Skee, what do you think? Denver, Boston?
I'm with you on this. I just think you have two teams that are both playing really well. They both won 4 in a row. Boston does play tomorrow. And when I see teams like that, I just think they save some of the minutes, some of the energy for that next game. I wouldn't be surprised even if somebody sits, today and then plays tomorrow. So just all of this stuff, I feel like Denver, last 5 games, it says the defense has been a little bit better than Boston. They're a better rebounding team, and they're catching points, and they don't play tomorrow. So they've won 6 out of their last 7. I just think it'll be a competitive game. So I have to take Denver plus the points here. And the Celtics, they've been winning. I mean, both of them have been winning, but Celtics are only 3-6 against the spread their last 9 games. I don't think they get out of this one winning by margin. And for the total, I'll say this one I was going back and forth because when I think about both of these teams, I'm just trying to check where it is now. Yeah, back at 230.5. When I think about both of these teams, a lot of offense, not a lot of defense. You have Denver number 1 in 3-point percentage. Boston is number 3. And as far as 3-point defense, kind of middle of the pack here. Pace, Denver is 4th last 5 games, and Boston is 13th. So I do think they're going to play up tempo. We know Boston, as long as Robert Williams is not there, they like to run. It's went over 4 of the last 5 meetings. And also over 4-1 at home for Boston, over 5-2 on the road for Denver. But this total is dropping, and I'm just trying to think why. I think it's just, like I said, if you like the over, take it
I'll
first.
I'll tell you why. I think people are, reacting to Brogdon being out. I think what people fail to, because he gets double-digit points, I think they fail to realize, though, that the defensive impact that he makes. So I think sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle with Brogdon.
Yeah. And just the fact that Boston plays tomorrow. Teams with the game the next day this season, they're 41-20 to the under, 67.2%. And when two competitive teams play each other with equal rest, and when I'm saying that, I probably said it wrong, but what I meant to say is 2 teams who've won 4 games in a row with equal rest, they're 71-46 to the under. That's a little bit over 60%. So maybe both of these teams focusing on defense for today. I couldn't get there on the total, but I did get there with Denver.
All right, did get there with the Denver Nuggets, indeed. Plus, who's going to check Jokic tonight if you're Denver, right? With Robert Williams out, you got options that I don't trust anybody. Horford, Vonleh. Are you going to go to old man Blake Griffin? Grant Williams going to be able to handle him? I don't know if anyone can. What do you think here, Billy?
Yeah, one of my favorite props of the day here is going to be Michael Porter Jr. over 2.5 3-pointers. It just keeps on going over, man. 9 straight games, he's gone over that 2.5 3-point total. Until they move it to 3.5, I'll be on it minus 142 juice. It closed at minus 170 in the last game, but minus 142 juice, good spot here. Porter's going to hit these threes, and he's going to go over that total again.
All right, next up, we've got Detroit and New York. New York Knicks, 8.5 point home favorites here, 224.5 the total in this game. I got to admit, I'm not looking pretty right now with Detroit over their team total for the win total this year. It's not a good start for them. 3-9 on the season. Get blown out again by the Boston Celtics, 128-112 on Wednesday night. We're gonna have to cool it with Detroit for now until I see something from them. And you got to think, after getting absolutely whipped the other night by Brooklyn, 112-85, Detroit might be catching New York at a bad time on a bad spot here, considering the Knicks off a blowout loss like that. They've only covered once in their last 7 road games. The defense has been struggling lately for the Detroit Pistons. It looks like Alec Burks, Marvin Bagley game time decision, as well as Cade Cunningham, questionable with left shin injury. So a lot of issues there in terms of health for the Detroit Pistons. I'm not betting the game because I still don't love the idea ever really of laying this many points with New York at home, but if I had to, I'd lean to the home favorite here. Skee, you like anything? Detroit, New York.
Yeah, Detroit plays Boston tomorrow. Detroit 1-4 as a road dog. Cunningham, game time decision. Wouldn't be surprised if he sits. You always got to be careful when these teams have a game the next day. So saying all that, last 5 game stats tell me that New York has definitely been playing better offensive rating, defensive rating, rebound percentage. but I just don't trust them. You're asking them to win by double digits pretty much here with an 8-point spread. They're 2-6 against the spread their last 8 games. What is this? I have 2-5 straight up their last 7. I've said it a couple times. I'm gonna continue to say it. Maybe if you like the Knicks, you take them first half because they've given it up a few times already. They've been up by 20 and then lose by 20. So if you're that kind of team, if I can't trust you to get stops and save a 20-point lead, I'm not laying 8 points with you. And then for the total, I think if you like points, New York has been playing with pace, and Detroit has been more of an over team as well, I think. Well, actually, no. 4 of the last 5 games have went under. But if you like the over, I think you go first half. Other than that, I think the longer the game goes, the more it dies down. And that's how I would look at it. I'm not going to be involved in this game, but that's my handicap.
Yeah, I'll throw 4 examples of the Knicks having a rough second half and a rough fourth quarter at you. The Charlotte game, they were up big. They win in overtime and hang on, but only by 3, and they don't cover. That was one instance. The Atlanta game, off to a great start at home. They lose that game outright. The Boston game, they had a great first half at home. They end up losing that game 133-118. I mean, they have had some rough performances coming out of halftime, and that falls on coaching. So that's a bad indictment of Tibbs right now with what's going on with that. Billy, what do you think?
Backwood, man. First backwood of the day for me. This isn't the type of game I want to be betting. Knicks -8.5. It would probably be lean towards the Knicks first quarter -2.5 or nothing for me.
All right.
Cade is questionable, Lance. I wish I could give you more up-to-date info than that. We won't know probably till shoot around right before the game. So keep an eye on that if you're going to get involved in it. I'm not. I've already made up my mind. I'm going to pass on this one. We got Milwaukee and San Antonio. San Antonio, we've got 1.5 2-point home favorites, 219.5 the total in this game. And suddenly the Milwaukee Bucks, certainly a beleaguered team from an injury standpoint. Middleton, Ingles, Holiday, Giannis, already ruled out as well tonight, which you knew that had to be the case with San Antonio favored in this game against Milwaukee. But I don't know. There's no way I'm laying points with San Antonio because we've already seen evidence of Milwaukee overcoming all these guys being out of the lineup and finding a way to win. That which was, I think, pretty impressive. 10-1 they are. The way they played against OKC, it wasn't pretty, but they gutted it out. They won 136-132 in overtime. Brook Lopez went nuts for 24 points. And I think the prop that you attack here, because this guy, I knew he was going to get way more minutes. I knew he was going to get more opportunity. And it's hard to believe. I think his point prop the last game was 7.5. It's Javon Carter here for Milwaukee. He went wild in that game. 36 points, 15-27, 5 of 10 from 3-point range. And you got to believe still going into this game tonight, he now running the show at the point guard spot for the Milwaukee Bucks. You hammer that prop again with him. You just hope he's not tired because he's not used to playing 44 minutes like he did against Oklahoma City in that overtime game. So maybe you worry about a little fatigue setting in, but I still think there's going to be terrific opportunity here to take advantage of props involving Milwaukee because you're going to get guys that aren't going to be priced the way they should be. Now, we've already seen an adjustment. Carter's up to 14.5 with his point prop. It was 7.5 last game. I'd still say there's value there. I think he can get to 20. It's all he needs. It's not like San Antonio plays good defense night in and night out. So I think that point prop's good, and I'm not laying points with San Antonio. Off an overtime game, maybe a little concerned that they have a little fatigue set in, but we've seen Milwaukee overcome all these injuries and beat a pretty bad team. This is another pretty bad team they're playing. Why can't they do it again here? So I haven't decided if I'm playing the Bucks, but it would be Bucks or pass for me. I am going to be on that Javon Carter prop, though. I think there's attack it while you can here. What do you think, Skee? Bucks, Spurs?
Yeah, both team Milwaukee, double overtime game, Spurs off an overtime game. I don't think there will be a lot of effort on the defensive end in this game, but also, longer it goes, legs could get tired and shots start to hit the front of the rim. So maybe if I'm betting this when I go first half over, just expect the pace to be there. And like you said, don't expect defense from San Antonio. They're the worst defensive rated team in the last 5 games. Milwaukee has went under 5 of their last 6, though. Makes me nervous. But I don't know. I don't trust Spurs defense, and I know the Bucks will probably play with pace with them. So lean first half over. Decide. You guys can have it. I will not lay points with the Spurs. And Milwaukee, I'm not too confident in that unit either. I mean, I like them in that first game when everybody sits out because how you mentioned, Ian, that's usually how it goes. But will it continue? I'm not going to put my money on it.
I want to throw out something, and this could be something that makes me look toward more of that over, and I'm seeing it now. Milwaukee on the season is averaging 105 possessions per game, 12th in the NBA in terms of pace possessions per game. You look at the just most immediate game, that number spiked all the way up to 119 in terms of the number of – now overtime played a part in that, but take out overtime, it was still way above their season average in possessions, Milwaukee. So looked like it was a faster pace. And look, they still got offense without, Drew, without Giannis. They were still able to fill it up offensively. So the over might be in play here with Milwaukee, San Antonio. We'll see if it goes over that number, but certainly you can make a case for it. Billy, what do you like?
Yeah, one of the guys that didn't really look too good in that last game, though, was Bobby Portis. But I think he'll step up here in this game here against the Spurs, 30.5 points and rebounds at minus 122. We're joking around last time we were on the show. His double-double prop is a 750, and he ended up not hitting that double-double. It's crazy. Minus 330 today. But as I digress, I think that 30.5 points of rebound, that 29.5 is that right spot. It's the spot that you want to look at for big men for points and rebounds. So I think Bobby Portis has a good game, bounce back, and goes over that 30.5.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's got a chance to too. And again, we like to attack usually the Spur front court as well. All right, next up we've got Toronto and Oklahoma City. Toronto -5 on the road, 219 being the total in this game. It wasn't exactly a perfect game for the Raptors. They didn't play great, but they muddled their way. I guess that's the best way to put it, through a victory against Houston, 116-109 in their last game. Now they go on the road, take on this Oklahoma City team that's coming off that draining overtime win, 136-130 loss, I should say, 136-132 against Milwaukee. It'll be interesting to see how they answer back tonight from an energy standpoint when you play a game like that. For the Raptors, they've got this game. They got a few days off after this. Then they play at Indiana. So it's all hands on deck here for the Raptors in this game. You look at the Thunder, 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread. Their last 4 games. Yeah, they were competitive for the first time in those 4 games against Milwaukee, but it was a completely and utterly depleted Milwaukee Bucks team in that game. Toronto, though, I certainly can make a case to lay 5 with Toronto. That's my lean in this game, but we do have Siakam still out. We have Khem Birch and Precious Achiuwa in terms of the front court, both out for the Raptors as well. The last game, they didn't play great for 48 minutes. I didn't like their focus. They just didn't have that, locked in mentality for 48 minutes. And you have to have that even against the weaker teams, especially now you're going on the road. So that does concern me. Siakam's absence does concern me, but I worry about this spot for the Thunder off the overtime loss. I do like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's point prop over, though. He wants to play well against Toronto. He's Canadian as well. He seems to always play well against the Raptors when he's in the lineup. He missed one of the games against Toronto last year, but in the other game, he really shot the ball well against the Raptors. SGA prop might be worth a look. I haven't made up my mind. I do lean hard to Toronto -5, but I don't know if I'll pull the trigger. Skee, anything here? Raptors, Thunder.
Siakam out, Birch out, Chua out, a lot of guys out. And this is a team that also has a game tomorrow. So they're going to have to figure out how to manage these minutes. And I just feel like, of course, obviously they've been a better team lately, last 5 games, etc. But I don't want to be laying points with the team in that situation.
Yep.
I don't think they're thinking about winning by margin here. And we know Oklahoma City is a team that's scrappy and will play a full 48 minutes. So with all that said, I would lean towards the Thunder. But I like a few other games more than I like this one today.
The stupid web page that I'm looking at has Toronto's next game against Indiana listed as November 14th. I got that screwed up. That's wrong. The Indiana game's tomorrow night. Yeah, Indiana game's tomorrow night. They play Detroit November. I'm just looking at that now. The page I was looking at had it wrong. So they do have a game tomorrow night. It is the front end of a back-to-back for the Raptors. So that changes things a little bit. No question. And maybe Nick Nurse is looking to basically use his bench a little bit more to, preserve everybody for a back-to-back. What do you think here, Billy?
I like Fred VanVleet here in this spot, over 21.5 points here at -120. He's been on a roll of recent in the point department, especially without Siakam. He's been taking more of an offensive heavy load. And Gary Trent Jr. hasn't really been too reliable. I usually like to hit his 3-point prop, but he's been off and on. I feel like Fred VanVleet's the way to go here in a Thunder game that should set for a good environment for guards.
Got Minnesota and Memphis. Memphis Grizzlies 4-point home favorites, 233.5 being the total in this game. With these two teams, obviously there's a lot of history, Memphis and Minnesota. We know the playoff series last year. I know people will use the term playoff revenge, right? Obviously for looking at the Minnesota side in this game. They are taking money. It's 6 down to 4. I think if I had to, I'd take Minnesota, but I don't like what I'm seeing out of this group. Their only win in the last 6 games is against the lowly Houston Rockets. They've been pummeled by San Antonio, by Phoenix, by Milwaukee, 13-point loss to the Knicks. A shorthanded Phoenix team rolls into Minnesota and beats them by 12. I mean, that's just not a team that's playing good basketball. And defensively, it hasn't gotten, they're supposed to be better with Rudy Gobert this season. And this defense is still, not really good enough right now for the Timberwolves at the moment. That's been frustrating. I would look more toward an over in this game rather than either side at this point in time. I know I was on the over with San Antonio, Memphis the other night, and it flew way over the total. Series history with these two teams has been a little bit more up and down with over-under, but I mean, you look at Minnesota defensively here, giving up 129 shorthanded Phoenix, 120 to New York. Both of those games give up close to 50% shooting against New York, over almost 50% shooting as well against Phoenix. So it's been a problem site for this Minnesota team at the defensive end of the court. And you know what scares the hell out of me if I'm Minnesota tonight? I can't shut down the perimeter. Perimeter defense has been terrible, and Memphis is shooting 4th best 3-point percentage in the NBA so far this season. So that that's also what has me looking at the over here. Skee, what do you think here? Playoff rematch here, Timberwolves Grizzlies.
Yeah, chance for that playoff revenge. And I do have the angle pulled up here now. Road Dogs and that playoff revenge angle, 68, 49, and 2 against the spread, 58.1%. But I
figured it would be a good percentage. Yeah.
I can't. This Minnesota team, they don't look like they like each other. I don't think, Cat, Anthony Edwards, they probably don't like each other. You see the possession where Anthony Edwards just standing over there. It's not a good situation right now. They've only won and covered one of their last 6 games. Only one is a road dog. When they play 55% win teams or better, they're 0-4 against the spread. What is there to really like out of Minnesota right now? Like, I can't play this strictly on playoff revenge angle because they don't even look like the team that made the playoffs. So you guys know I'm not even big on the Grizzlies, but the Grizzlies been playing better basketball. It is their 3rd game in 4 nights. They didn't play yesterday, though. But they're top 10 in the categories I care about, offensive rating, defensive rating, rebound percentage last 5 games. And they're top 10 in both 3-point percentage on the season and 3-point defense. In my mind, that's how you win by margin. That's how you cover a lot of games. They haven't been covering lately. They've been winning 1-4 out of 5, just 2 and 5 against the spread last 7. But I think this is a spot where they get it done by a decent margin here tonight. So Memphis -4. Don't often go against the playoff revenge, but I will tonight.
I don't blame you. I mean, how do you not think Memphis is the better team and in better form right now when you watch these two teams play? And I don't like that 3-point defense at all of Minnesota, and Memphis has been stroking from the perimeter so far this season. So it's definitely, including, of course, Desmond Bane. There's no question about that. He's been excellent so far for the Grizzlies this season. So I'm with you there. And there's chemistry issues. I think there's some locker room issues too. It kind of feels that way. It kind of looks that way. This coach looks like he's over his head, honestly, Chris Finch here. As well for the Timberwolves. I didn't like the way he coached that playoff series. Some bad things going on in that series that he didn't exactly handle very well. So yeah, a lot of issues right now. And who says Rudy Gobert is a savior to take you to? Whoever thought Rudy Gobert is going to take anyone to the next level? You brought him in thinking, oh, he's going to take us to the next level. What did Utah ever do in the postseason with Rudy Gobert there? Not a damn thing. So I mean, all this nonsense that Rudy Gobert's going to be that missing piece. Rudy Gobert's going to take us to the next level. It's a bunch of garbage. I haven't seen a thing yet that proves that point to me. What do you think here, Billy?
Desmond Bane, man, he's been playing at an all-star level of recent, man. Over his last 8 games, he's been averaging 28.5 points per game, 5 rebounds and 4 assists. I mean, like you were talking about earlier, Timberwolves don't really guard the 3-point line. Seems like a good Desmond Bain spot here, over 23 points at -110.
Oh, you got some points there, AOD. No doubt. You gave up a lot to get this guy, and I don't know. The juice may not have been worth the squeeze, if you know what I mean, with that trade. We'll see. It's early, but not good early returns here for Minnesota. All right, Cleveland and Golden State. Golden State 2.5-point home favorites here, 232 the total in this game. Well, finally, we've got a little bit of a cool-off going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers back-to-back losses on this road trip against the Clippers and the Kings. The Kings game was a little bit surprising that they struggled that much, but 2 losses in a row, whatever you want to call it, regression. You know, you're eventually going to hit a rough patch in your season, and this is it right now. Golden State, they had a brutal road trip. We know, we talked about it, 5-game road trip. They were terrible in that road trip, lost all 5 games, come back home against Sacramento. But I truly thought that was going to be a let's whip Sacramento spot for Golden State. And it really didn't play out that way at all. I mean, they had a bad first half. They got down by 12 points. And in fact, if not for a furious comeback in the fourth quarter, you know, they were going to lose that game the other night against Sacramento. So this is still a team that's not putting 48 strong minutes of basketball together. I'm on Cleveland here. I am. I mean, I have 2 losses now. People are starting to get off the bandwagon a little bit. I like the Cavs here getting 2.5. I'm not going to guess anymore when Golden State's going to play 4 quarters. I'm not. I mean, the road trip was a debacle. I thought that was a spot to do it against Sacramento, and sure enough, they started slow, and they needed that incredible fourth quarter pushback to steal the victory. I'm not ready to lay 2.5 with Golden State against maybe the best team they've played during this stretch outside of New Orleans. I mean, they played Orlando. Miami's been slumping. Detroit, Charlotte, Sacramento. Cleveland is going to be a challenge here for the Warriors, and I think they're very live, and I think this is a game Cleveland's up for. You know, the Clipper game, they lost a close one, and maybe a little flat with Sacramento in between that Clipper game and this big game against the Warriors tonight. So I think Cleveland steps up tonight. I like them with the 2.5 points. Skee, what do you think, Cavs, Warriors?
I'm going to be on the other side here, and this Cavaliers team, I mean, you kind of mentioned it. I don't know about them overlooking anybody. What I think is they're tired. And they're just not playing as good basketball as they were to start the year. It's their 5th game in 8 nights.
Yep.
Today. That loss to the Kings, like the Kings are not that good of a team. And the Clippers, the way they've been struggling to score offensively, like you lost to them for one, but you let them put up 119 points. Like they haven't been scoring on anybody. And the Kings put up 127. So that shows me that defense isn't there. That's usually what I think when you're tired. First thing to go is the defense. So just looking at that, Golden State's not going to be tired. Before that last game that they played versus Sacramento, I think their stars got the night off there. This is only their 3rd game in 8 days. They have not played since Monday. And when you have all this time off, you know, it gives you time to actually fix what's wrong. That road trip, they're on the road 5 games in a row. You don't have time to practice and work on your defense and do those little things. You're just going from arena to arena to arena, trying to figure it out. So we already knew Golden State wasn't we know Golden State is a better home team than road team. So far this year, 4-1 at the house, and 0-6 on the road. Since they've been at home, I listened to their little interviews and stuff like that. It's the same thing I'm saying. Steph says they don't got to worry about the offense. They just got to worry about the other things to help them improve and start doing better. Steve Kerr says, as we're trying to clean up our defense and establish our principles with our team, et cetera, they're focused. They're going to bring the defense tonight. And they've actually had time to make a change this time. So home favorites with the rest advantage win 72.4% of the time. 3 days rest compared to 1 here. And not only that, Golden State didn't even have to travel since their last game. They played the last one at home. They're at home now. And their opponent, here's the system. Home favorites with 3 days rest who did not have to travel versus an opponent off of a loss with 1 day rest. Since 2018, 14-1 straight up, 14-1 against the spread, win by an average of 17.4 points per game. Warriors get right tonight.
Warriors get right. They got a 14-1 angle there on their side. If you factor that in, it's the rest versus the 1 day rest off a loss, which Cleveland is. Certainly Golden State's A game. They're probably in good shape tonight. I'm done waiting for Golden State. They can say it. They can talk about it all they want. Practice time, yada, 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 all week long. We've been at home. We've gotten to work out the kinks. They got to show it on the court. They've worked out the kinks, in my opinion. But we'll see if they have. What do you think here, Bill?
I'm liking what Skee was rapping about, man. This is the only spread I was looking at here is that Warriors -2. If you're looking at the prop market, Steph Curry over 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's gone over that 8 out of his last 10 games, including 6 games straight. Cleveland bottom 5 of points per possession for pick and roll ball handlers. Curry's going to go up and over that total tonight. Second for potential rebounds for the Warriors. Seems like a good spot for Curry to get right at home. 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He might get that on the points alone.
Yeah, well, definitely have to. This is an intriguing game. I'm definitely fascinated to tune in. Cavaliers and Warriors here in the late night hours. Not as intrigued about this next game. Sacramento and the LA Lakers. Sacramento 4.5 point road favorites, 231.5 the total. I'm done leaving money on the table here. I'm on Sacramento tonight. I'm done leaving money on the table, passing up opportunities to go against this pathetic bunch right now. I mean, with the LA Lakers, 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread, double-digit blowout losses in all 4 games, 2 to Utah, 1 to Cleveland, 1 to the Clippers in their last game. Just absolutely dreadful. Don't look now, Sacramento is starting to play some nice basketball. 5-1 ATS, 4-2 straight up during that span. Wins over Miami, Charlotte, Orlando, Cleveland in their last game, 127-120. De'Aaron Fox is rolling right now. I like the inside-outside balance they've got. Fox, Werder in the backcourt. Barnes, Keegan Murray, the rookie's been great. Sabonis in the 5 spot, but Keegan Murray, 13 points per game this year, 14 in the last game against Cleveland here. I understand fully why this money has come in on the Sacramento Kings. We're at the point now where it's just how on earth do you trust the Lakers? And I believe it or not, I was thinking of backing the Lakers in a couple of those games against Utah, and I ended up pulling back the reins. And it's a good thing I did that because obviously they came up short too against Utah. So tough times right now for the LA Lakers. So I jumped on Sacramento. I got 3.5. It's gone up since then to 4.5, 5. But still only look at Sacktown here. Skee, Kings, and Lakers.
Man, if you bet in the Lakers, I don't know what you're doing, bro. Like, they don't even care. So if you don't care about your money, go ahead and put it on the LA side because they're showing you. Anthony Davis don't want to be out there. He's I saw our guy Ronald Cobain tweet and kind of joke about it, but saying, he's now questionable leaving shoot around because he's sick of the team. That's how I feel looking at his body language. He's tired of it. The guys, Anthony Davis, LeBron, etc., they want to see changes made to the roster. Management doesn't want to make changes because they don't want to mortgage the future, and you're stuck with this product on the court that's just pathetic. So they're 2-9 against the spread. I'm not putting my money on them. You bet Sacramento or you stay off the game.
You're absolutely right. Sacramento or nothing. And I'm on the Kings here tonight. 2-9 straight up NATS this year for this Lakers team. I mean, I knew it was going to be a team. I'd need to see it before I believe it. There were people that were saying they'd be able to bounce back and contend for the playoffs, but I didn't think it would be this bad to start the year. But lo and behold, it has been that bad. Billy, what do you think here?
A little bit of juice coming in on this prop. I liked it a little bit earlier today. Russell Westbrook double was at -115 earlier in the day. Moved to -150 now with Anthony Davis late questionable news. I personally think AD is going to miss. Russell Westbrook, what he does best is shine in those spots where there's nobody on the floor. Double there at -150 if you want to take in a little parlay.
Right, good stuff. There we go. That's the Friday card. 8 games in the NBA. Looking forward to how it plays out. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Thanks to everyone for joining us. 211 live viewers. Make sure you hit that like button. Come on, run it up before we get to best bets here. Wrap up the show. Wrap up the week. It's our final show of the week. And, of course, we'll be back on Monday with another edition of the NBA Pub Hub. So, again, make sure you hit that like button. Come on. I think last I checked, 44 likes. Let's go. Pump it up. 214 live viewers. Hit that like button for us, and we'll be able to get to best bets in just a second. Reminder, I'll be back at the top of the hour with Connor Mack for the college basketball net profit show right here on Pub Sports Radio. So make sure you check that out. It's a huge Friday night as well in college basketball. Fridays won't normally be this big in college hoops once we get to January, but early in the season in non-conference play, they usually give you bigger slates on Fridays in college basketball, and we've got one tonight. So make sure you check out Connor and I at the top of the hour for that. Shout out to everyone again in the chat. Hit that like button. We got best bets coming up right after we hear from manscaped.com and Southtown 101. All right, Southtown 101. When you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke, Southtown 101, manscaped.com, promo code PubSports, 20% off your purchase. Lawnmower 4.0 or any Manscaped product, get 20% off with promo code PubSports. All right, best bets to wrap up the Friday edition of the NBA Pub Up and the week. Skee, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Man, we know they just won a damn championship. You know Golden State is not as bad as they look so far to start this year. Haven't played since Monday. Time to correct those mistakes. Golden State gets right tonight. Take Golden State.
There you go. Golden State gets right tonight. -2.5 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Best bet for Ski Profit for this Friday. Billy Briz, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, best bet tonight. We are going to go down to San Antonio, home of Pub Sports Radio, and we're going to take Bobby Portis over 30.5 points and rebounds tonight, -120. It's good money.
There we go. Bobby Portis for a player prop best bet here from Billy Briz on this Friday. My best bet, it's going to be Denver Nuggets +4.5 against the Boston Celtics. Like that spot, like that number. Don't know if there's an answer for Jokic. Don't like the way the Celtics have been playing as home favorites lately. Didn't cover against Chicago. Lost outright to Cleveland earlier this year as home favorites, and both of them on Friday nights. So Friday nights is home chalk for the Celtics at the Garden. Have not worked out well for them. And I think they're in a fight to win this game at all, let alone win by margin without Malcolm Brogdon as well. Denver +4.5 against Boston. Trying to get on a roll with best bets. They've been up and down for me this year, but we're coming off a winner with New Orleans against Chicago on Wednesday night. We'll see if we can build on that here with Denver +4.5 against Boston. For my best bet here tonight for NBA action. All right, that'll wrap it up. Hit the like button on the way out. A great week of shows in the books. We will be back. It's an OG Monday for the NBA Pub Hub on Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. The original four, Ian, Skee, Dutch, and Wham joining you on Monday, so make sure you join us for that show. For Billy Briz, for Ski Profit, I'm Ian Cameron. We'll see you at the top of the hour for College Basketball Net Profit. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll see you again next Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern, for a brand new week of the NBA Pub Hub right here on Pub Sports Radio.